Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and we're gonna do one last video about this recent HasLab because it's a pretty interesting thing. There's actually a few interesting things going on here that I want to talk about. The first one is that it did get backed. Alright, so when I did my first video, I said, I'm pretty sure this thing's, I'm paraphrasing, I'm pretty sure this thing's gonna get backed. It's not that expensive, so even if it's overpriced, I think people will still back it. Then it looked like it wasn't gonna back. Mostly everybody was saying it doesn't look like it's gonna get backed, but maybe. So I made a video and I said, well, maybe I was wrong. Or maybe I said I was wrong, I don't remember exactly. I was wrong, and it looks like it might not get backed. It might not. But it might. And I talked about it a little bit in there. And it's possible that it still gets backed. It is possible. Okay, that's reasonable because it makes sense that that's possible to happen. Now, one of the interesting things is here, and we'll get to the overall ramifications for the toy industry in just a minute. I know you guys like to hear these kind of videos. I've been getting asked a lot to do these kind of more meta type videos rather than just reviews, so I'm going to do that. We're going to get into the overall industry situation afterwards, but I want to just address a little bit more my video from the other day and the reaction I'm getting from it, which is really interesting because that video wasn't for or against backing it generally. It's weird, and I'm gonna play some clips from that video to explain what I'm talking about, but I'm getting all these comments now saying, you were wrong, it got backed, you hater, you hate monger, all these different things like that, and it's pretty nuts because I didn't say anything like that. In fact, I never said that I'm not gonna buy it. What I said was, I'm not going to support it unless it succeeds. If it hits the 10,000, then I'm going to be involved. I'm gonna back it. It's already succeeded at that point, but I'm gonna get one because I need to review it. I was very clear about that. I'm not gonna support it. I don't want it to succeed, generally speaking, because I think it's overpriced and I don't think it sends the right message to Hasbro. That's what I said. But if it does succeed, I'm a reviewer. I need to review it, so I will get one. That's what I said. And everybody, all the Hasbros who are coming to my channel, which we're going to talk about in a second, don't seem to have the listening comprehension to grasp these concepts, because they're saying things like, oh, look, you're going to have to scamper around to find one now because you wouldn't back it. You said you weren't going to back it, and now you're going to. Things like that. Nope, I was very clear. I'm not going to support it unless it succeeds, in which case I'll have to get one so that I can review it. Some people wait to see, is it going to get backed? If so, then I will also back it. I have to say, that's not a good strategy. Just generally speaking for these sorts of things, I'm doing that for this guy because I don't personally care if it gets funded at all. I don't care. It doesn't look good enough to me. However, if it does get funded, as a reviewer, I need to have one. So if it gets backed, I'm going to buy one. So as soon as it did, I backed it, even though it was already succeeding, so it doesn't really matter at that point. But yes, I backed it, just like I said I would. Interesting how being consistent is pretty clear and easy. So yeah, there's that. And I did say that in the other video. And I also said, for all of you who are not backing it, who want to back it, who think it's worth it, you should. I never said don't back it. I never said anything like that. I said if you like it, back it. Don't wait to the end. That's just going to hurt your chances of getting it backed. Until it's successful, you don't get charged anyway. So if you're interested in it, if you think it's good, you should back it. I said back the what's it called? HasLab. It's not a Kickstarter. Support it. If you think it's a good buy, participate. I was very clear about that. And if you don't. And then I also said, if it gets backed, fine. If not, fine. It doesn't matter. It is whatever people want. If enough people support it, then it's enough to be supported, and that's good. And if enough people don't, then that's good. I did mention, generally speaking, I think it would be better if it didn't, because that will send Hasbro the right message, but I also said very clearly, if it gets backed, fine. That's wonderful. All of that aside, this looks like it's not getting backed, so I was wrong about it. I thought people were going to back it for sure. I'm glad that they're not. Not because I don't want it to reach its goal. I don't care. If it does, fine. If it doesn't, fine. That means that people like it or they don't. That's fine. But I'm glad that it's not, because that means people aren't just taking whatever Hasbro's giving. They're not just consuming content, saying thank you, and waiting for the next amount of content, to loosely paraphrase an old meme. And I also said, I'm sorry if it doesn't get backed to those of you who do want it to be supported and to have the figure made. Generally speaking, as far as the project goes, for those of you who wanted it, I'm sorry if it doesn't get backed. That sucks. I was never anti this in a general sense. I'm very neutral on this because it is a crowdfunding thing, and as long as there are no shenanigans, which hopefully I'll remember to talk about in a little bit, it is what it is, and I mean that in the most practical sense. If enough people want it, it will get supported, and good for them. If they don't, then it won't, and good for us for it not being supported because people didn't want it, and Hasbro learned that lesson. It's very clear, it's very obvious how these things work. Now, some people, I'll just talk about it real quick right now. Some people are floating the idea that Hasbro manipulates these things to get them back if they want to or whatever, and I don't know. Obviously, there's no way to know. Is it a conspiracy theory? Only if it's not true, but there's no way for us to confirm that. It is suspicious that it ended right before, just before getting that third stretch goal, that third tier. Or second tier, I guess, however they figure that out. So no Skrull head for you guys, which I do think is the better of the two tiers. The zombie head, I think, is such a very specific thing that I'm guessing most people don't care about that. But it is suspicious, I think, that all of these people suddenly back it at the very end, but just shy of getting that extra thing that would cost Hasbro money. That's curious. Maybe they'll throw it in. I doubt it, but who knows? I really, really doubt it because that'll teach people that they can get stuff from Hasbro, and Hasbro does not want that. So anyway, that's a separate topic. But yeah, all these people coming to me with these comments like, oh, you how stupid I was and how wrong I was and how hateful I was never any of those things. I was never any of those things. Saying it doesn't look like it's going to get backed and saying I'm sorry if it doesn't for those of you who wanted it is not a hateful thing. It's an observation and a video for discussion. It's just interesting how these Hasbro people, they come to my comment section and leave the Hasbros, I want to say, not Hasbro employees. They come to my comment section and say all these things. They haven't watched my video. They haven't heard what I had to say. They just come here and say these hateful things, saying I'm hateful. And I think that's interesting. I think that's actually very telling that a lot of these people who hate my content and hate all the things I have to say have no idea what I've said or what I've had in my content. That's very telling. And these are the same types of people who will blindly follow Hasbro. Well, hey, I think that's pretty telling. So yeah, I never was hateful toward the project. I don't think it's a good thing, and we're going to get into the industry ramifications. I don't think it was a good thing that this got supported off the heels of the Engine of Greed that didn't get supported. I don't think it's a good thing. And I said that. I was very clear. I don't think it should get backed. I don't think it's a good enough project. I don't think it warrants a HasLab. It should have been a Pulse exclusive, if anything. I was very clear in my last video. But if you like it, back it. If you support it, back it, and hopefully it goes for you, and if it doesn't, I'm sorry. That's the most hateful thing I said, which is very interesting. Okay, so let's just recap real quick. Hasbros are very hard of hearing, or they just don't watch content and like to run around the internet crying and screaming and acting like toddlers. Okay, so now industry ramifications for this project. The last one was a good thing. Hasbro went nuts with the Engine of Vengeance, and everybody was like, yeah, I don't think so. Not doing it. And it failed gloriously. It failed like crazy. It was the most successful failing I've ever seen somebody fail. So that was a good thing. It showed Hasbro, hey, we're not going to just take anything you put out. So good thing. Overall good thing. These companies need to be held in check because, hey, they're making toys for our money. They need to make something for us. They need to justify their existence. We don't. They do. Okay, so that was a good thing. Then they come up with this one, and they say things like, well, we're not including any extra figures because that puts them behind a paywall. No, put them in tier 1. There shouldn't be tiers. This isn't a Kickstarter. You shouldn't be doing this in the first place, Hasbro, but if you wanted to include figures, let's say, I don't know, Wasp, or Yellow Jacket, or even a normal sized Giant Man, any of these things, you could have easily included them just as here it is. Here's Giant Man Big, Giant Man Little, or whatever assortment of figures you want. No tiers, just back it if you want it or not. They've already said that you're paying for it either way. Whether the tier gets produced or not, it's figured into the initial cost. So they could have easily done that. The whole excuse of, well, you guys complained about Mephisto in the Engine of Vengeance. Yeah, because that was a gimmick. That was a way to try to con people into buying the product. Because you know they wanted Mephisto. If you had just included it in the very beginning at a reasonable price, nobody would have cared. So it's just an excuse for them to not include it. So now we're buying Giant Man at an exorbitant price without the added figures. And people supported that. So now Hasbro's never going to do what they did again, or at least not regularly, with Sentinel or Galactus, where they include these other figures, which increases the value of your purchase. They're not going to do that anymore because they just got away with it. They got away with including the absolute worst assortment of accessories they could possibly manage. They're not even accessories. It's a zombie head. What's that good for? One photo? Like, seriously, how many people actually care about the zombie head? From what I can tell, even the people backing it, there's like a tiny, like, people all for it. There was a tiny percentage that actually cared about the zombie head. So now it's just a bare bones, almost literally. There's nothing special about this figure other than the questionable swappable faces. So it's just that for $200 and some after you figure out tax and shipping. So basically, people told Hasbro, you can do whatever you want as long as it's not as expensive as the car and as long as it's not a giant car and a character nobody cares about at all. So I suspect we're going to see more things from Hasbro where the thing's overpriced, but because it's not really expensive, absolutely expensive, they can get away with it. And that's what's going to happen, it seems. And that's okay. I mean, if that's what people want to do, that's like I said in the video the other day, you know, if people are willing to overpay for something just to have it done, then that's okay. That's on them. But it's not doesn't set a good precedent, and these companies are going to get away with whatever they can. These big ones like Hasbro, they're not interested in the consumer. They're interested in milking you for money. That's why it's so weird to me that these people, they think they succeeded. The people who wanted the figure, great, I'm glad you're getting the figure you want. But they're like, we did it. We got it done. You didn't. You didn't do anything but give Hasbro money. They are thinking that in their boardroom, we did it, we got it done. They're not doing this for you. You helped them use you, is what happened. That to brag about that is just insane. It's like Stockholm Syndrome. These people who are so on Hasbro, it's weird. It's so strange to me, and they're on the internet fighting with everyone. If you don't like it, you're poor. If you don't like it, this, you're full of hate, anything. It's okay for them to do whatever they're doing, but anybody that doesn't do it also, they deride them. They insult them, and then cheer when Hasbro gets to actually succeed and use them. It's the strangest thing. The internet is the weirdest thing these days, and the people on it are, well, they're the reason it's weird. So strange. So strange. So yeah, as far as the industry ramifications, I don't think it's a good thing. I think we'll see more mediocre stuff from Hasbro at high prices. And we'll see more crowdfunding. Why would they stop doing the crowdfunding? Because one failed? Big deal. They don't care. They'll just keep doing it. This is more profitable to them, or for them, than the other things they make. Why wouldn't they? So it doesn't set a good precedent, guys. We need to be in charge of what happens. It's the same situation as the scalpers on eBay. Everybody likes to complain about scalpers and high prices. They can't sell things at high prices if no one's buying them. It's the buyers who set the price, always, for luxury goods. Basic economics. Economics 101. The buyer sets the price for luxury goods, because if you don't buy it, they can't sell it. And it's not something you need. It's not water. You're not forced to buy it. You're choosing to. So if you say, hey, I'm not paying more than 50 bucks, they'll either drop the price down to 50 bucks or not make the thing because they can't do it profitably. That's how you find that perfect equilibrium of them making enough money and you paying what you want or what you're willing to pay comfortably. What's happening right now is people are just throwing money at Hasbro, and they're making worse and worse products. And it's getting worse and worse because people continue to do it. And every time that happens, Hasbro sees, oh, we can pull out the accessories and they'll still buy them. Okay, next time, even fewer accessories. Oh, we can do no accessories and no paint and people are still buying them? Okay, next time, less paint, fewer accessories. Oh, we can sell you half a figure. Next thing you know, we're gonna just have Build-A-Figures. No regular figures, just parts that you have to buy in chunks. Like, they're just gonna keep going, guys. It's the give a mouse a cookie thing. As soon as they see that they can get away with something, they're going to, and then they're gonna keep pushing that limit. They're gonna keep pushing it. They jumped the shark with the Engine of Vengeance. Didn't work. They reeled it back. And now they're going to creep their way right back up again. It's basic economics. It's so strange that people are not aware of this. I mean, I guess it's not nowadays, but the way they act on the internet, though, that's definitely strange. Coming to my videos to call me a hate monger. I said if it gets funded, great. If it doesn't, that's great too. I'm not going to support it unless I need to review it. What a hateful guy I am. I like the idea of a giant man. I don't care that it's too big. I know a lot of people said it's too big. What am I going to do with it? Fair argument. I think it's cool. A giant action figure is always a cool thing to me. I like that kind of stuff. I just don't think Hasbro did a good enough job to warrant the price point. That's all. But you can't have reasonable critique these days with people like the Hasbros running around telling everybody they're poor or they're hateful or they're stupid or they're clowns because they didn't think it was going to get backed. So what? Who cares? I didn't think it was going to get backed when it looked like it was failing. And I said it might not get backed. What a hateful guy. It's nonsense. These people are silly. Silly internet people, and we should ignore them. But I felt like I should make one more video out of this because it's good for viewership. No, because you guys like these kind of long form videos. It's not scripted at all. So it's just fun for me to talk and for you guys to listen and to hear your comments. But I had to address these stupid, ignorant comments from these morons who they clearly didn't watch my video. Like, it's so obvious. They didn't watch my video at all. The one guy even went back and paraphrased it, like, okay, you definitely just clicked around because you didn't paraphrase what I said correctly at all. Whatever. It's craziness, but it got funded, so that's cool. I'm like 5% excited because the giant man figure that's this big is kind of cool, but I just don't think it's going to be any good. We'll see. I'll review it like I always do, and maybe it's going to be great. I hope it is, but they haven't given us any reason to believe that. So, there it is, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments section below, and try to keep it respectful. I like to think my audience members that are actual regular viewers, not strangers who show up to cause problems, are respectful type of people with critical thinking skills. So please conduct yourselves as such, and I would appreciate it. But there it is. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos almost every single day and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. In the meantime, keep collecting.